Mr. President, I am on the floor to talk about a vote that simply should not have taken place this evening. It's a vote on yet another attack from our Republican colleagues on women's health and their right to access safe, legal abortion, this time in the form of an anti-doctor, anti-woman, anti-family piece of legislation that medical experts strongly oppose. Republicans have spread a lot of misinformation about this bill, so let's be clear what it is not about, and what it is actually about. This bill is not about protecting infants, as Republicans have claimed, because that's not up for debate, and it is already the law. This bill is also not at all about ensuring appropriate medical care is delivered, because it would make it harder for healthcare providers to provide high-quality medical care their patients need and deserve. The leading nonpartisan organization of OB/GYNs in our country has said this bill should never become law. They called it, quote, gross legislative interference into the practice of medicine, and, quote, part of a larger attempt to deny women access to safe, legal, evidence-based abortion care. In fact, 17 top health and medical organizations wrote to Congress to insist Democrats and Republicans vote this bill down. Mr. President, since this bill is not about infants or appropriate medical care, I'm sure many people are wondering what exactly is it about? What would this bill really mean for women and families and healthcare providers? If you are a woman, this bill would mean if you were one of a very, very few women who needed an abortion late in pregnancy, you could be legally required to accept inappropriate, medically unnecessary care that may directly conflict with your wishes at a deeply personal, often incredibly painful moment in your life, because politicians in Washington decided their beliefs mattered more than yours. If you are a medical provider, this bill would supersede your years of medical training and your oath to deliver the best possible medical treatment to your patients. It would apply a one-size-fits-all set of requirements that do not reflect the reality that every pregnancy is different. And it would subject you to criminal penalties if you choose to let medical standards, not politics, drive the care you offer your patient. For families struggling with the painful reality the child they had hoped for cannot survive, as is tragically the case in many of the circumstances we're discussing, this legislation would take precedent over a family's wishes as they grieve. Mr. President, this bill is government interference in women's health care, in family lives, and in medicine on steroids. It is, as I said, clearly anti-doctor, anti-woman, and anti-family. It has no place becoming law. Its proponents claim it would make something illegal that is already illegal. So why are we debating this legislation that would take women backward when there are so many ways we should be advancing medicine, improving women's health care, and supporting families? Because, Mr. President, this bill is about something that Republicans care more about, as far as I can tell, than almost any other priority. And that, unfortunately, is rolling back women's constitutionally protected rights and trying to take us back in time before the Roe v. Wade decision. Since day one of the Trump-Pence administration, this party has pulled every possible stop to appeal to its extreme anti-abortion base. Just last week, Mr. President, the Trump-Pence administration put forward a rule that would prevent healthcare providers at clinics funded through the Title X Family Planning Program from so much as informing patients about where to get an abortion, even if that patient directly asks them for advice. This rule means trusted medical providers across the country may not be able to serve women and men who rely on them for contraception, cancer screenings, and more, all because Republicans are determined to make abortion impossible in the United States. And this is just one of many examples. So, Mr. President, to recap, this bill is completely unnecessary. It is harmful to women and families. It would criminalize doctors and is intended to do nothing except help Republicans advance their goal of denying women their constitutionally protected rights. And I'm against it in the strongest terms. Everybody who cares about women, who cares about families and doctors, upholding the Constitution should be too. So I'm glad tonight the Senate voted to stop this anti-doctor, anti-woman, anti-family bill from going a single step further. And the next time Republicans want to have a conversation about protecting infants and children, I am happy to talk about the babies and children separated from their parents at the border, or improving access to early childhood education, or making sure coverage for maternal health care and pre-existing conditions are not taken away, because those are problems that do exist and do need to be solved, and we are just as ready and willing to work on those as we are to stand up and say absolutely not to this harmful bill.